Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Friday, the start of the weekend. I hope you're all having a very good day wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Plenty to discuss today. We're going to talk about Riccardo Calafiori as he flies in, preparing to seal his move to Arsenal. We're going to look at what Thomas Partey has been having to say while over in the United States. Got loads and loads of reaction from you guys and stuff we've been speaking about. Emile Smith Rowe. All that sort of stuff as well. So going to bring that up. Look, firstly, and I know I do this a lot and you always laugh at me for it, but my neighbours are having some work done at the moment. I can hear it. There's drilling, there's hammering going on. If you can pick it up, and I know loads of times I say this and then you can't pick it up and you're like, what are you talking about? But I can hear it. So if you can hear it, then apologies for that. That's what you can hear, but there's nothing I can do about it. So hopefully you don't. Hopefully it doesn't disrupt things while I'm doing this show today. And let's get started, shall we? And we'll start with Riccardo Calafiori. Big day today as he heads over to the UK. Is expected in London today to sort of go through his first part of his medical checks, and then we'll head over to the United States where hopefully this deal can be finalised finally, and we can see him. And this is a mocked up picture of him in an Arsenal shirt, but hopefully very, very soon we'll see him officially in an Arsenal shirt, which will be very nice for all to see. Can't imagine there's going to be any hiccups between now and then. Kiss of death probably that I've just given it, but you can't imagine there's going to be too many hiccups. He's just going to come over providing the medical procedures that he goes through all go well. Then hopefully the confirmation of this long-awaited transfer is very, very soon. They'll head over to the United States. Arsenal obviously playing against Manchester United in the early hours of Sunday morning UK time. I can't imagine he's going to be playing in that game, but you never know. He might be in the stands. I remember, was it Zinchenko? I think there was a game when Zinchenko was over in the last US tour or 2 years ago when he signed, and before the deal was actually announced, he was spotted in the stands in the US, having gone over and linked up with the squad ahead of getting the move done, and the cameras picked him out in the stands watching it. So it might be a similar situation to that for the game against Manchester United. Then who knows, depending on his physical state, might well be in contention to get 20 minutes or so against Liverpool for the final game of the tour before heading back to the United States. But as I've said many times, it's not just about the game time for this US tour. That's why Arteta is always so keen just to get players over. And Ketty was talking about it yesterday, wasn't he, when he was saying how everyone rotates on different tables when they eat and all that sort of thing, and it just builds the squad together, the squad bonding. And that's why Mikel will want any new signing to go over there, even if it's just for a few days, because I think in that environment, that's a great place for them to start settling in, meeting their new teammates, and just becoming part of the furniture. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get some news, official news on Calafiori very, very soon. But he is due to head over to London today before hopping on a plane again and making his way over to the United States. Mikel Merino, more news about him, talk about him. Team News and Ticks. I'm not going to be able to do a show with Team News and Ticks this week, unfortunately, for you guys who look forward to that. Timings just don't work out at the moment. The joys of school holidays, and I've got my two kids in that room just there who I'm looking after today, and it'd just be impossible to sit down for like an hour and a half basically and do the two shows that we normally do back to back, myself and Team News and Ticks. So I've had to put this one on ice this week. But he reported yesterday on his Patreon that Arsenal are sort of really pushing to get this deal done. We know Arsenal big admirers of Mikel Merino. The interest is there. It's fully one that I'm expecting them to push on and try and get the deal done. Now Calafiori is out the way. Obviously, a lot of focus has been put into getting this Calafiori deal over the line, and now that is about to happen, they can start focusing on their other key targets, of which Mikel Merino is one. And Team News and Ticks are reporting now that Arsenal are really sort of starting to accelerate that move to try and get the deal done. Don't think there's been any sort of agreement between the clubs or anything like that. I imagine all the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes has involved the sort of players side of things, just getting that all in order before then going to the club and trying to get the deal over the line. And with Emile Smith Rowe heading off, obviously there is a space in the squad opening up in midfield. Not a like-for-like replacement. Obviously, we've spoken about that in the last couple of shows, but left-sided 8 type player, box to box, and it's going to add some physicality to the squad, I would say. And yeah, certainly a deal that Arsenal will be, you imagine, pushing to get over the line now that Calafiori is done. Gabriel and Martinelli and Kai Havertz have now linked up with Arsenal in USA. They did that last night. They arrived last night. And yes, today will be their first day of training with the team. I mean, they're going to be a long way behind everyone else, obviously. Haven't done any of the sort of warm-up stuff that the rest of the squad has done, but going to be great to see them involved. I imagine that the United game is going to come a little bit too early for them. Who knows? Maybe they're in decent shape and they will be considered for 20 minutes or so off the bench in the second half. But you'd certainly think we're going to see them get some pretty significant minutes in the game against Liverpool. And that just leaves the boys who got to the final, so the England lads and David Raya, as the only players who will not be with the squad. They, of course, will link up with them once everyone gets back from the United States tour and heads back to the UK ahead of those two games at the Emirates. It's been great to see these two on board as well. Kai Havertz as well. And you're just sort of looking at that squad and it's suddenly starting to look a hell of a lot stronger. And you add Calafiori into that mix as well. And things are beginning to take shape. And hopefully, fingers crossed, can add another couple of signings between now and the games at the Emirates. And the squad will really be taking shape ahead of the new season. And kind of Thomas Partey has basically been speaking about that and the competition that lies in the squad now. He's been speaking about it over in the United States. We saw him play. He started the last two games, started behind closed doors friendly, started the game against Bournemouth as well. He's talking about the competition in midfield, of course, which there might be even more competition very, very soon if Mikel Merino does indeed come on board. He says, we have a lot of players in that position. Georgie is playing good. I am playing good. Deck is there as well. Martin too. We also have other players who can come in and make a difference. We have to compete against each other. And at the end of the day, it is the Mr. Arteta who decides with this kind of competition, we can get to the level that we want to be at. And that's what you need, isn't it? Competition is so, so crucial. It's not just about having one or two players who can play in that role. It's about having three or four players who can play in that role, who are versatile, who can play in different positions. And the squad has been so carefully built by Mikel Arteta and Edu to be able to be full of players who can play in many different positions. You'd say Thomas Partey is probably one of the very, very few. He's kind of got his own position and that's it. He doesn't really play anywhere else on the pitch. Of course, we did see him play in that inverted right back role at the beginning of last season, which I hope we never see again. But other than Partey, most of the players are very, very versatile and can play. But it's been great to see Partey fit and looking lean. I think he does look very fit. He was actually talking about his injury issues as well. And he said, it's life, things happen. And sometimes they are things that you cannot control. I have to keep going and keep fighting. Every time I fall, I have to get up and fight back. That is a mentality I have. I also think that anytime I can help the team, that is what I have to do. I'm going to do my best to be more consistent and stay fit. It is an everyday job. I cannot give up and need to keep going. Mentally, it must be so, so difficult to have the sort of injury problems that Thomas Partey has had, Kieran Tierney, those sort of players, to continue to sort of get up and go again and then break down again and go again. It must be very hard mentally to sort of keep yourself strong. Hopefully, just fingers crossed, he can stay fit. Whether this is Thomas Partey's last season at Arsenal, I would imagine it probably will be. But, you know, if he can keep himself fit, if he can show that he can stay fit for 30 games, you know, play a real major part in the season, then maybe he could earn himself a new contract at the end of the season. We'll have to wait and see. But, you know, hopefully he's going to be a really, really key player. And the signs are so far pretty positive. He's looking good. He's looking fit. He started the summer well. And hopefully he can take that into the new season because, look, if Thomas Partey's fit, then Arsenal got a hell of a player on their hands. Moving on to some of your questions and sort of reaction to what we've been speaking about over the last couple of shows. Obviously, myself and James Benge had our Inside Arsenal Extra Time show last night. And I did my usual show on Thursday morning as well. ESR has been a big topic of the discussion. Was that move to Fulham edges ever closer for around £35 million? I gave my take on it yesterday. Lots of you reacting to it. Top one there saying ESR is our most dangerous player. It's a massive mistake. And there's lots of people who feel like that, not just you. Jamie says, if you leave Arsenal, then this is the way to do it, with everyone's blessing and all of us hoping he goes on to do great things. Zero animosity from all sides. We all want ESR to go on and do great things. Absolutely. I really hope he goes and smashes it at Fulham if he does get that move and it does go through, apart from against Arsenal. Obviously, Carlo says, sad to see ESR go, as I'm a big fan, just like you, Charles, but at his age, he must be playing regularly. Too much talent to waste on the bench. He helped us through the bad times and many standout performances. Boxing Day against Chelsea, away at Chelsea under Tuchel, West Brom away, and of course Spurs at home in 2021-22 season. Yeah, it's been lots of them. It's mad to think that goal at Stamford Bridge when he slotted in that really nice team move was his last goal for Arsenal. It's crazy. At the time, you just never, ever would have predicted it. And that was his last goal for Arsenal. What a lovely finish that was. And the fact that is his last goal, it's a great memory to have. And there was so many other good performances as well. Like you said, Carlo, very well said there. And Marco said, had Smith Rowe not played against Chelsea in 2020, I'm not sure Mikel would be here right now. It was getting desperate, and Emile helped give us the belief. I'll always miss him. 100%, Marco. I was saying that to James on Inside Arsenal Extra Time last night. I think that's why he held such a special place in my heart as well, because it was such a difficult time. Like you said, it was dark, dark times. And Mikel might well have not been here if that had carried on for much longer. We might not have seen this remarkable transformation that has taken place since then. And Smith Rowe was so central to it, him and Saka, and they just breathed new life into this team and this club when it needed it at its very most. And that's why he is just always going to hold a very special place in my heart. Emile Smith Rowe, and good luck to him. If this deal goes through, obviously still stuff to do on it, but it is looking likely that it will at this stage, but we'll have to wait and see. Here's one from Ash, who says, I know it's early doors, Charles, but what is your hot take with Arsenal going into the 2024-25 season? Mine is that I think Timber will become undroppable for us this season. That'll be interesting. In what position would Timber become undroppable? You can't imagine it's going to be at centre-back, so it'd have to be one of their two full-back roles, and then it's either Ben White or Riccardo Calafiori not playing. But you might be right. I mean, he's shaping up very, very well. He's looking very good, I thought, in pre-season so far. My hot take, and I don't know if this is, I don't know if you class this as a hot take or not, but I think Martin Odegaard's going to be named PFA Footballer of the Year this year. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised if he's Football Writers Player of the Year and PFA Player of the Year. I just think he was very, very close to getting it last year, I think, behind Phil Foden. And I just think he's an unbelievable footballer. And he's just getting better. Just his appearance when he came on the other day in that second half against Bournemouth just looked head and shoulders above anyone else on the pitch. And as providing he stays injury free and nothing bad happens to him, touch wood, that is the case, then I just think he's going to be fabulous this season. He's going to get better, and I think he's going to win the major Player of the Year awards in the Premier League. Love to get everyone else's thoughts on that, by the way, in terms of their hot takes for 2024-25. Be interesting to see what you guys have got to say on that. So head down to the comments and give me your hot takes for what could happen this season, Arsenal-wise. Here's one from Nelson, says, with Fabio Vieira, let's not try to pigeonhole Arsenal players into one position. In their Arsenal careers, all these guys have to be able to adapt to multiple roles. I think our system is about exploiting spaces, not fixed positions on paper. So I have let go of all my ideas about fixed 11s and positions. Declan has to be able to play at centre-back. Odegaard has to be able to play deep as 6. Saka has to be able to play as a full-back, stroke forward, etc. I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. And that goes back to the whole versatility thing in terms of when Arsenal look to bring in signings. They have to be players who can play in these multiple positions. And Vieira is one of them. Like, I suppose you're probably talking about what myself and James were speaking about last night when we're like, do you see him more as a right-hand-sided player, as in the winger, where we saw him playing against Bournemouth, or is he more in a central area, sort of either as a left 8 or as a right 8? And I suppose you're right. The fact is he can play all those positions. He can even play right, as in wide left. I remember when he came on against Fulham last season, won the penalty in that position. Freddie Nketiah as well, playing in that position. And so, yeah, you're right. It's not about pigeonholing players, 100%. Certainly not in this Arsenal system under Mikel Arteta. It's one of the great strengths that this squad has at the moment. And I just wanted to bring these up as well. Again, this is you guys reacting to what myself and James were talking about when we were speaking about players that Arsenal have signed on the back of a good tournament. Not necessarily like seen them at the tournament and thought, I've got to sign them, but the signings have come after the good performances. We're talking about Mikel Merino, obviously, and what he did for Spain and possibly coming in. And we remembered Arshavin for Russia at the Euros, but we couldn't think of anyone else. And Paul and Simon have got in touch here and absolutely spot on, 100%. Paul with the John Jensen shout after obviously what he did at Euros 1992 when he scored the goal in the final for Denmark when they won that game, and then Arsenal signed him with George Graham. Says, John Jensen, we signed with that wonder strike. Who knew? I was there when he scored in the 3-1 lesson against QPR and had the T-shirt too. That was, Paul, the only game that I missed that season. I was ill. It was in December, wasn't it? It was just after Christmas. It was the only game I missed that season because I was ill. And John Jensen goes and bends one in exactly where I sat as well in the West Stand. I would have had the perfect view of him curling that into the top corner as well. And I missed it because I was ill. Even though we lost the game, I was just so gutted that I wasn't there to see John Jensen's goal, having sat through so many matches of seeing him balloon them into the North Bank or into the clock end or near the corner flag. And then Simon as well talks about Gilberto and Sanchez. Of course, I mean, Gilberto, probably the best example of all of them after his brilliant performances for Brazil in 2002 when he helped them win the World Cup, and then Arsene Wenger went and signed him. And yeah, Alexis Sanchez, of course, after his brilliant World Cup 2014, wasn't it, Brazil? Arsene Wenger went and got him, actually basically signed him while he was over there, went and did all the talks while he was in Brazil, working for the media, covering the World Cup. So yeah, thank you very much, you guys. Always rely on you when we can't remember anything. Always rely on you guys to point out what we'd forgotten in the comments below. So thank you very much for that. And that's it for me today, everyone. Thank you very much for your time, as always. I really do appreciate it. Have a fantastic start to your weekend, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. We'll start take a proper look forward to that Manchester United game, see if I can do a predicted 11, that sort of thing. Till then, have a good one, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.